Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got a great one for you this morning. So it was really incredible to hear Gary Gensler's hearing yesterday. A lot of people felt like it didn't yield much because I think they were listening for a certain thing. I think we got a lot more out of that hearing than people give credit for. We're going to get into that because I think Gary Gensler says something that is very important and possibly revealing to where we're going in this space and with XRP and the ledger. Walmart becoming a bank, we're going to talk about it. And by the way, decentralized exchanges, the new alternative trading systems, and the SEC's recent risk alert, I think it all ties in. And is XRPLedger a security? And is XRP the token a utility token? And if so, let's just roll that beautiful intro. Here we go.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradley above at the top of the screen, and everything that we're talking about here today, ringing in right at 46 cents. We're on the move a little bit. Where does it go? Nobody knows. Remember, we did have technical analysis in this space, several of them talking about early March, between 1st and the 3rd, we could see it test for those highs and possibly push back into the dollar range again. So we want to keep an eye on this motion. We are moving between 42 cents and 46 cents right now, but let's get to it because here's an opportunity for each and every one of you. Unstoppable Domains, there's a link in the description box and the comment section. Listen to this: premium domain NFT, non-fungible token sales. And let me tell you something, this is the first time in history that these actual cryptos have been made available. I looked at this one, golfing. That's something I'd love to do again. I haven't done it in years because I'm so damn busy. But you know what? I thought, why not pull up GoDaddy appraisals and see what golfing.com is worth? And it says it's worth more than $25,000. And .coms don't have the utility that .cryptos do, because .cryptos, you can actually send money directly through that actual address. And golfing.crypto is worth $5,000 right here. So, like I said, link in the description and the comment section. This is March Madness for the first time, and each week they're going to keep releasing the opportunity to participate in even more of these first time ever released cryptos. I think it's so exciting. I might try to squeeze one out. So I don't know which one I'll try to get, but you know what? Don't get it for me, because if I got it, it won't cost the same, I can tell you. All right, let's go ahead and get into the news. We got a lot to cover and really a lot for you to think about. And we've touched on some of this on the show before. Please stay with me as we move through this information. Okay, why Walmart could become a serious player in banking. And I can guarantee you banks are not happy about any of this. But it does say here, with Goldman hire, Macmillan moves closer to becoming Bank of Walmart. If you look down here, it says to lead the effort, Walmart plucked Omer Ismail, a longtime veteran of Goldman Sachs, who was the key architect of the lender's consumer efforts in recent years. Listen to what he's been a part of. Ismail brings along with David Stark, who inked Goldman's partnership with Apple Inc. and oversaw its tie-up with JetBlue Airways Corp. And Amazon. Heard of them? Ismail's hiring could be a precursor to Walmart filing an application to become a bank of its own, following a FDIC rule late last year that paved the way for non-financial firms to seek banking charters. Banks have been adamant that these new charters for so-called industrial loan companies allow firms to enter banking while escaping the capital and other liquidity demands they are forced to follow. Now that is just fear-mongering by the banks. You and I know that Brian Brooks and the FDIC have put out the kind of framework and issuances that are allowing a level playing field to take place. And if they participate in banking activities, they will be held to that heightened prudential as banks. So let's know that. And honestly, isn't that what this is about? It's about decentralizing the banking world and the financial world and allowing everyone who wants to play along participate, but you have to come up to the standards that banks are held to play and participate in this level playing field. So with that being said, that's exciting. I mean, we're not going backwards. So yesterday we had the confirmation hearing with Gary Gensler. I know a lot of people felt like it was a bit of a nothing burger or a sleeper, but I encourage you to think about these statements that we're going to look at today. And I don't feel like we're over analyzing anything. In fact, if anything, I think we're maybe getting a little bit of a glimmer about where all of this may be going. So here we see Gary Gensler says that he will work to foster innovation in the crypto space. I do think that technology and markets constantly change and evolve. Even if it's thumbs down, it's important to provide it clarity. He's absolutely right. Let's just hear that clip really quickly. It's very short, and we have a lot to listen to, so check this out.
Do you agree that we need to provide more legal clarity through rulemaking and no action letters to innovators in the digital asset space and in the blockchain industry specifically?
Senator, I thank you. I thank you for our conversation in the last week on these matters and others. I do think that technology and markets constantly change and evolve, and that it's important for the SEC to provide guidance and clarity. Sometimes that's a clarity that will be thumbs up, but even if it's thumbs down, it's important to provide that, whether it's through guidance or no action letters, as you mentioned.
Now, I just want to be clear here that I have asked the audience over time. We have covered the idea that XRP may, in fact, get a security designation. And that does not necessarily mean that it will be a security like a stock of Ripple. That's not what I mean at all. And in fact, we're going to look at some information here that may give you a bit of a broader understanding of what it maybe could mean. So let's keep going. So here is another quick clip here I wanted to play of Gary Gensler talking. Let's just talk about that. And again, talking about thumbs up or thumbs down as he smiles. And you have to ask yourself, a lot can happen here. And if we're going to analyze the fact that we could go to $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 a coin, you need to ask yourself what happens to your investment if it does get a security designation. And if it does get a security designation, what kind of security designation would it be? Let's continue here. Listen to this.
And so I think if confirmed at the SEC, I'd work with fellow commissioners to both promote the new innovation, but also at the core, ensure for investor protection. If something were a security, for instance, it comes under the securities laws, it comes under the SEC. If there's exchanges that trade those, to ensure that there's the appropriate investor protection on those exchanges. So promote technology, but still stay true to our core values of investor protection and capital formation.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So there you have it. He covers not only, digital securities, but he also covers exchanges handling those digital securities, right? So important to note there. Now, just very quickly, this is a shout out to Big Skinny. And by the way, shout out to Rod Hop for the Walmart news. That was amazing stuff. Rod Hop and Big Skinny are Hall of Famers. Looking right here, if we look at this article here, this is from, I think it's back in 2018. And this was just a thought that Gary Gensler had being asked, about the space, talking about the actual crypto space. Listen to what he says specifically back here in 2018 about Ripple and XRP. He says, for Ripple and its XRP tokens, it may be harder for it to avoid being classified as security, given the company holds most of the XRP tokens, which is in escrow, we all know, and does the lion's share of the work to make XRP tokens available. XRP does not give its owners an interest or stake in Ripple now, and they are not paid dividends. Garrett Gensler said, XRP exists independent of Ripple, was created before the company, and will exist after it. While Ether and Ripple backers have long argued their tokens shouldn't be treated as securities, the Securities Exchange Commission may side with Gensler. Gensler is telling you that he understands that the XRP token does not give owners an interest or stake in Ripple. And they are not paid dividends, he said. but he still believes that XRP is a security. Now, I have been talking to you about this till I've been blue in the face. Now, whether they want to call it a secure, look, they could call the XRP-Ledger a security, right? If they want to, they can do whatever they want. And then the token be a utility token of that security. I don't know. I'm just telling you that it looks to me there is major consistency, and I've been talking about this. Major consistency. Here's another shot of Gensler in 2018, just very quickly. To date, crypto exchanges and digital wallet providers generally have not been registering as banks, exchanges, broker-dealers, or the future commission merchants. And now this is in 2018, so we've started to see that shift a bit with like Kraken and Anchorage, and they're moving to get bank charters. But broadly, he's still correct even in these statements in 2018. This leaves the only regulatory safeguards to guard against illicit activity and protect investors: to state-administered money transmission regulations. This approach, regulating exchanges' duties in the same manner that Western Union and MoneyGram are regulated, is not satisfactory because you're being held to remittance market framework, he's saying, by default, because you haven't rolled these exchanges into the same framework as banks and broker-dealers and things of that nature. And it is not a satisfactory situation because this is an investment space, not just a remittance space. Illicit activity is hard to track because of that. Billions of dollars have been lost to hacks. Manipulative behavior is unchecked. Crypto activities are more complex, inherently harder to monitor, and less traceable than straightforward money transfers. Crypto exchanges and digital wallet providers lack the same natural connections to regulated banking system that money transmission companies were when transferring fiat currencies. Regulated banks help protect customer funds by compliance with the Bank Secrecy Act. We saw Brian Brooks at his time at the OCC actually engage with letters of issuance confirming that banks, federally chartered banks, could now participate in holding and offering digital assets and using them. So we've seen that growth spurt, but this is Gary Gensler in 2018 telling you we need that to happen, and we've seen that happen. So Gary Gensler is really in 2018 looking like a futurist, calling it as he sees it in 2018 and being right about it, because then we saw Brian Brooks do what he has done of late before he left the OCC. So furthermore, both the Securities Exchange Commission and Commodities Futures Trade Commission have released numerous public advisories, notices, enforcement actions. Most crypto exchanges remain unregistered and operate with limited investor protections. Why am I talking and focusing and slowing down when I'm saying most crypto exchanges remain unregistered? Well, it's just like with Walmart, the announcement of the banks. The big banks don't want the exchanges to be around. If somebody's going to offer any of this stuff, whether it's a security or a skateboard or a currency, they want to offer it if anybody's going to offer it. Broker dealers want to be the one to offer it if anybody else is going to offer it. Let's think of the framework that exists, the infrastructure to move securities. You go through a broker-dealer. This can regulate right from the jump, from your first point of entry into the market. They get their transaction fee, right? They're always compliant, right? They're selling you something in a registered, compliant way. Your framework for regulation and monitoring the market is already built. Now, with that being said, recently, what did we have on February 26th? Just a few days ago. It was a risk alert. Division of Examinations continued focus on digital asset securities. Is that a fact? Well, let's go down to this part, national securities exchanges. Exchange registration advances in distributed ledger technology have introduced innovative methods for facilitating electronic trading in digital asset securities. a platform that operates as an exchange as defined under Section 3 of 1 of the Exchange Act by Rule 3B-16. A says thereunder must register as a national securities exchange or operate pursuant to an exemption. The staff will examine the platform to facilitate trading in digital asset securities and review whether they meet definition of an exchange. Why am I keep talking about exchanges and alternative trading systems? Because the XRP Ledger is a decentralized exchange. You think we're just going to have a decentralized exchange that no one owns, nobody controls, right? And it's just going to be out there willy-nilly, and it's supposed to have all the world's money on it. And this futuristic thing's just sitting out there, no compliance, no nothing, no oversight. I got some oceanfront property in Arizona I'd like to offer. Let's take a look at this clip, because this is the one that I feel is the most overlooked from yesterday. Listen to this. He's talking about FSOC, and we've talked about this if you've been with me on this channel for a while. He's talking about the Financial Stability Oversight Council, which is a regulatory body, a prudential regulator that is above market regulators like the SEC. And it is connected directly to the U.S. Treasury and Janet Yellen. Listen here when he talks about the fact that there's obviously been some kind of private conversations in closed hearings leading up to this public hearing about working with FSOC about certain activities that could be systemically important.
I'd like to move over to FSOC. In late 2019, FSOC made several important changes to prioritize an activities-based approach, add transparency, procedural protections, and impose a cost-benefit analysis to the systematic risk regulation designation process. Secretary Yellen, before the committee, confirmed that she supported an activities-based approach. Do you support these types of important reforms?
If confirmed, look forward to working with Secretary Yellen, working with all the members of the FSOC on designations if they're appropriate, and there are activities-based activities that could be systemic. So, as I understand your question, yes.
There could be activities that are systemic. Yes. As I understand your question. Then I thought to myself, like I said, the XRP Ledger is a decentralized exchange, and it's supposed to, according to Ripple and the ILP, right, all the money. That's what we're talking about. Whether it's settlement of clearing and all of those things, all the money. Well, now let's move here. Right now, we know that the New York Stock Exchange was it 1970? The Securities Investor Protection Corporation was established in 71, incorporated and recognized as not-for-profit organization. Well, that's interesting because the XRP Ledger recently, months ago, was it last summer, they announced that the XRP Ledger was decoupling from Ripple. Now we know that that was a part of those tolling agreements, and that they wanted to, Ripple continually wanted to position itself. This is why I believe you've seen Coil and Cinnamon and these other things created to show the utility and use case in the middle of them negotiating with the SEC, and then making a smart move to distance Ripple from XRP, which was the plan all along. That as they achieve widespread adoption and move to a place where they get global adoption in the regulatory side from governments alike, it was necessary to decouple from the XRP Ledger because it is a decentralized exchange. And here is the nonprofit foundation they put behind that recently. Just like you have this as a nonprofit. The New York Stock Exchange. Only this can handle a lot more than what the stock exchange can do because it can handle the exchange plus all the money of the world, no matter what we're talking about. So the conversation about working with FSOC and entities there brings up what I've talked about on this channel before. This is FSOC and the U.S. Department of Treasury. Non-financial company designations. Non-bank financial company designations under the Dodd-Frank Act. RippleNet would be a non-bank. I can't make this up. I really can't. I mean, let's just look at what FSOC has done when it comes to financial market utility designations, what they call SIFMU or SIFME for short, which is either systemically important financial market utility or systemically important financial market infrastructure. Dodd-Frank Act also authorizes counsel to designate financial market utilities systemically important if the counsel determines that the failure or a disruption to the functioning of the FMU could create or increase the risk of significant liquidity or credit problems spreading among the financial institutions or markets and thereby threaten the stability of the U.S. financial system. It's a big damn deal is what it means. Designated financial market utilities will become subject to the heightened prudential and supervisory provisions of Title VIII, which promote robust risk management and safety and soundness, including conducting their operations in compliance and applicable risk management standards, providing advance notice of review of changes to their rules, procedures, operations could materially affect the nature and level of their risk. All right. Who are some of these things? Well, you know, I know a lot of you are going, well, what are we talking about here? Well, let's see what we're talking about here. We know that the Depository Trust Company, which is working on moving to distributed ledger technology with Project Whitney and Project Ion, are absolutely already considered systemically important. The Chicago Mercantile Exchange is considered systemically important. You don't see New York Stock Exchange on here, Brad. Well, that's right. You don't, because what you see is ICE Clear Credit. And ICE Clear Credit is actually owned by the parent company, the Intercontinental Exchange, which also owns the New York Stock Exchange. It also is a clearing, ICE Credit, Clear Credit is a clearing platform, clearing house for swaps, right? So that's where we're at there. We have to start thinking bigger because I believe because XRPLedger is a decentralized exchange and the XRPLedger open source technology really to me is just like any protocol of the internet that we currently use today, which means I believe because it moves value that it is a public good, just like Barack Obama said at his time as president, says the internet is a public good and that's why the U.S. needs net neutrality. I agree with him. And you know what? Here's even more evidence that in 2016, the United Nations resolution in the summer of 2016, United Nations Human Rights Council found the same thing, released a non-binding resolution condemning intentional disruption of internet access by governments. The resolution affirmed the same rights people have offline must be protected online. And that is the rest of the story. And I tell you, you know, when I think of these things, you know, I really believe there is a chance that we see the XRPLedger protocol deemed a public good or systemically important, or maybe it's Ripple or RippleNet. I don't know. But one, if not all of these things is headed to a place that either is exactly like what we're talking about, or it certainly rhymes a lot with it. I can tell you that because there is a reason they were talking about things being systemically important yesterday. And it was very coded, it felt to me, that they didn't go any further because he even goes on to say that in response to that, he would write in the report his full response to that and not expound on it because he only had like less than a minute left, which I found interesting too. So maybe we can get a hold of the report afterwards and find out what his full response, Gensler's full response to that was. All I know is that Gary Gensler absolutely sees XRP as a non-compliant security, and I don't think it's the end of the world that it become that. In fact, I think it could put us in the proper framework with broker dealers and things of that nature, that if we actually hold it now, we may become some of the most fortunate people in the world that we actually do, because the rules for holding it and trading it and buying and selling it or what have you may be very different in the coming days. That's going to do it for me. Hit the like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. Make sure you share with somebody you know. Before we go, there is a global conference coming up with linked to. And ladies and gentlemen, you better watch this stuff. If you're an accredited investor, this stuff goes like in 24 or 48 hours. I'm telling you. And then I got thinking the other day, how much is linked to worth when you know that they've had Kraken, they've got Coinbase, they just recently IPO'd. I mean, so many others, Ripple. I mean, it's like the company's hitting it out of the park. So at any rate, that's what I wanted to share with you. And there's going to be some great names at this conference, March 9th, March 10th. Jill Carlson from the World Economic Forum. Oh, we're going to have some questions for her. This is Diana Adachi, who I've done a great interview with, and it's in the newsletter. If you ever get a chance, sign up for the newsletter. And she's formerly of Accenture. Brilliant mind in this space. I don't mind sharing with you. And then Tim Draper's going to be here too, and so many others. So make sure you check in, and Nisa Moyles as well, who's also an investor in Ripple. So make sure you tune in and sign up for this conference. It is going to be fantastic. I'll catch all of you on the next one.